And we're live. Welcome back to Standing Room Only NY. This is episode 7. My name is Victor. And Sheyne.
Welcome back to Standing Room
Only
NY.
Oh, we're getting like feedback
feedback.
here. Hold on 1 second.
Welcome back to
There we go. Just mute that one.
There we
All
go.
right. Just some technical difficulties to start off the show.
All right, but I
Sheyne,
think
why don't you
hang on a
introduce yourself?
second. Hang on a second. We had technical difficulty. Now I got to finish up some business, okay?
Sheyne, yeah. Sheyne. This is the second week in a
All
row.
right, we're done. The check is written out.
There you go.
Happy Bobby Bonilla Day. A check written out to Roberto Martin Antonio Bonilla for $1,193,248.20
Don't forget
from
the 20
Fred
cents, pal.
fucking Wilpon for all to see. More
There
money
we
than
go.
any of us will see in our entire lives. Welcome to
Standing Room Only NY. We'll reintroduce ourselves. My name is Victor.
I am Sheyne.
And let's get started. So
Real quick, we got a shout out.
All right, we'll get started with the shout
To
out.
our friend Norwal Music, follow his YouTube channel. He just he showed us some love earlier. He
Yeah.
said continue to be super impressed with your uploads, fire and thumbs up emojis. So thank you so
Nice.
much for the support. We love you. We're subscribed, and all our viewers please subscribe to him as well. Now we'd like to introduce.
We have our first guest of Standing Room Only, John, or I guess your Mets updates at this point.
Yeah, thanks guys for having me. I appreciate it. This is gonna be awesome.
All right, awesome. Thank you for being a part of the show.
No doubt.
So let's jump into the topic of our Mets All-Stars. So they were just announced. We had Pete Alonso as a reserve on the All-Star team and home run derby contestant.
Yes. So, I mean, that's huge news. And, let's start with the home run derby, shall
Yeah.
we? We have other contestants are going to be Vlad Guerrero Jr. from Toronto, hometown boy Carlos Santana, Christian Yelich, or as I like to call him, the guy from SNL, Josh Bell from Pittsburgh, Ronald Acuna from Atlanta, and other rumored player participants will be Bellinger, Gallo, Judge, Marte, Shoshi Otani, which would be interesting.
There we go. Yeah.
Hunter Renfroe, Franmil Reyes, Mike Trout, Luke Voigt, and Gary Sanchez. Though none of those are confirmed. So we anticipate
Yeah.
that happening. How do you feel about that, John?
It's gonna be fun watching Pete Alonso. I mean, when's the last time we had a Met even in the home run derby? A top slugger like Pete Alonso. It's gonna be fun to watch. And also with the All-Star game, having Pete Alonso in there definitely deserves it. So does Jeff McNeil and Jacob DeGrom. DeGrom doing business as usual. It's going to be really fun. I mean, it's tough considering the season we've had this far, but it's All-Star break is going to be interesting for Mets fans, no doubt about it.
What do you think is going to happen in that break?
So I feel like I don't know if Pete Alonso is going to win or not, but I feel like he can match up with any other slugger in the game. He's done it all season, and I think he's going to have a very good night. I feel like with the All-Star game, you'll see Jeff McNeil in there. He's been great this year. Just hit after hit after hit. The guy is a hitting machine, a really old school type of player. That I haven't seen on the Mets since for a while. Maybe Daniel Murphy could be comparable to him in terms of hitting. Then you got Jacob DeGrom doing business as usual. Sadly, again, the offense and bullpen have been killing him.
Yeah, pretty bad. I mean,
Killing him.
I know like the last time we had anybody as part of the home run derby, obviously was right in 2013, but that was more because he was, it was Citi Field, but really he was the only time he was legitimate with it was
in
2006.
2006. Yeah. When he faced off against Ryan Howard.
Yeah. So, but now, I mean, I agree with you, John. Alonso can match it up with anybody in the National League, in the American League as well. Like, I expect big things from him in that home
I think
run
it goes
derby. I
down
really
between
do.
him and Yelich.
I think it also depends on. I think they'll keep Judge away from it because of the recent injuries.
Okay.
I think they'll be like, chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
But I could see that being the case with Yelich and him. I definitely could. I mean, it's exciting. I mean, it's a good thing that we have something exciting to hold on to here.
Yeah,
And,
after this season, I mean, I think we can accept fourth place.
Yeah, but I mean, and then also going back to your point about like McNeil kind of being like Murph. We actually made a point of that in the last podcast last week where someone was telling us, I saw something on TV that was like, he's kind of like, McNeil's kind of like the better Murphy because he's not only offense, but he's defense as well, at least when he's in the infield. The outfield is questionable.
Oh, yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I think that's absolutely right. Because Jeff McNeil is a very good defensive player. He's not even playing in his position right now, and he's still really impressing in the outfield. He's really fun to watch. He's just a great ball player, athletic. You could put him almost anywhere, and he'll succeed.
Mm-hmm.
The word I would use for him too is resilient because he's an older guy. He had to go through a lot of injuries and stuff to get to the majors, and to have him play at this level after all that he's overcome is really, really awesome. And I think us Mets fans need to cherish that, especially in what's looking like a lost season. Having that piece.
Callaway said himself is that we'll need a miracle to probably.
Oh my God! And he's Mr. Drop.
We need a miracle to get anywhere close to him as our manager. But I mean, you said it, he dealt with a lot of adversity. McNeil. A year ago, he was getting the call up to Triple A.
Yeah,
only a year ago. So that's
now
amazing.
He's an all-star.
Now he's an all-star.
Yeah.
And so I mean, for Alonso was like, it's a dream come true. I wouldn't think in a million years I'd be an all-star as a rookie. It's crazy. It's a dream come true. And of course, he lamented about Jeff and how much Jeff deserves and how they've been going through, high A to double A to triple A together. So it's like a brotherhood for them.
Much the past 3 years that they've been together.
Yeah, and DeGrom was honest. He's like, I honestly was a little surprised. How do you feel about that kind of respect that the players gave DeGrom, even though he hasn't had his best season?
I feel like, first off, the thing with the Mets is that, their defense and bullpen really haven't been very kind to DeGrom themselves. So I think that might have added to his numbers being as not as good as they should be.
Kind of inflated.
Yeah.
I think he's been he's not as untouchable as he was last year, but he's been pitching very, very well so far this year, and he definitely deserves more wins, more credibility than he's gotten from fans and the media so far this year. I think he's quietly had a very good season, and just like he's done since 2014 when he came up with the Mets, he's been great, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Is there anyone you feel would have deserved it above DeGrom or in addition to those three from the Mets this season?
In the league or
just the Mets?
I was thinking about this, and I don't think so. I mean, you have a couple other Mets who have had good seasons, but nothing all-star worthy, I'd say. I mean, Zach Wheeler and Noah Syndergaard have been. Who'd you say?
Jason Vargas.
Vargas. Oh, think of that. That would have been hilarious.
Or maybe he could be security. Anyone who tries to jump on the field, he could beat him up.
He'll get the reporters, put them in check.
Exactly.
My God. Yeah, I mean, Jason Vargas has been so surprising this year. And, with him, it's been something he didn't do last year was he didn't mix up his pitches as effectively as he's done this year. His changeup has been very good this year, and so is his breaking pitch. And it really complements his 85-mile-per-hour fastball. Now that 85-mile-per-hour fastball looks a lot faster because you don't know if that fastball's coming or if it's the slow changeup or the breaking pitch. That's why he's been so successful this year. Last year it was a lot of he was throwing the fastball too much, I think.
And he doesn't have that Thor 100-mile-per-hour fastball.
No.
That's lights out. He's with the rest of the pack, and then maybe a little lower with his fastball. So you're mixing that in. That's been the savior for him.
I mean, we look at his stats right now, and Jason Vargas, he has a 3-3 record with a 3.66 ERA. So I think he's doing a lot better than last season, where he went 7-9, but he had a 5.77. So I think, as you mentioned, him mixing up the pitches has helped him a long way.
Very true. I mean, that being said, John, how do you feel would you still prefer the Mets to replace Vargas and find a legitimate 5 or 4 or 3, or do you feel like we're good with him and just the season's lost and just play it out?
Right now, I think stick with Vargas for now. I don't think that the starting pitching is the issue right now. If we're gonna address anything, it should be that god awful bullpen.
Absolutely right.
It's funny. I was thinking today, and Sandy Alderson, when he was the Mets GM, I give him credit because when the Mets were struggling and they needed an extra push, he'd go out and get a guy to try and fix the issues. He wouldn't just sit there on his hands. And we've watched this bullpen just completely collapse, and we haven't seen any sense of urgency from Brody Van Wagenen or, even the Will Ponce to bring in anybody. Look, we had Cody Allen, who was designated for assignment. He used to pitch with Mickey Callaway when he was an all-star closer, and the Mets allow the Minnesota Twins to give him a minor league contract. You have Addison Reed, former Mets setup man who was very good with the Mets. He's out there right now on the free agent market. You got Brad Boxberger, who was just designated for assignment, former Tampa Bay closer. I mean, these are 3 guys who have, experience closing, and you could bring them into the bullpen and see what they could do without giving them that much money or anything, and they're not even doing that. I mean, that would have been moves to make a couple weeks ago that would have helped, and they've showed no urgency, and because of that, the bullpen is just continuing to implode. Even when we won last night, we had Chris Flexen come in with his
he tried to give it away. Yeah, I mean, that's some really good points. It's because we discussed a few weeks ago in the podcast how they kind of with position players will take any cheap deal they can find, throw it against the wall, and see what sticks. And yet, I mean, they're not doing that with the pen. They're not trying to think out of the box like you're saying, John, and try to go and find somebody to come in and just see what they can do. Because right now, it's easy to say it's the same guys every night because it is. It's the same bullpen. It's every guy in that pen that is just you hold your breath and you just we expect to lose this month, and they're not doing anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, you look. I mean, if we look at the ball games that happened this past weekend, you have Nogosek, who he threw 1 inning. He threw 1 inning. Fortunately, that he got 1 strikeout, but his ERA is at a 7.71, which is absolutely atrocious. I mean, you look at the stats that we got, like a newly acquired guy, Brooks Pounders. He's 1-0, but he has a 6.14 ERA in 7 games with only 5 strikeouts. So something's not adding up here, and I think the Mets are just accepting this this miserable bullpen. I mean, you can look at Saturday's game, and maybe there's a bright spot where we had Chris Mazza, who made his major league debut. He went 4 innings pitched, so he pretty much pitched double of what Steven Matz did.
Yeah, what Matz did, yeah.
And I mean, he allowed 5 hits, which is fine. In a debut, only one
run,
2 strikeouts. But he has a 2.25 ERA.
That's a fairly impressive debut.
However,
but then then you go down to Lugo, who has been a problem. John, how do you feel about how Lugo is being consistently turned to? Like, I mean, I understand the whole deal of like, this is your guy. He has been excellent, and you keep going with him to let him work it out. But also at the same time, Callaway's letting him work it out for an extended amount of time in game. How do you feel about the management of Lugo?
Well, you've seen Lugo in past seasons be a very effective reliever for the Mets. And, he's taken on a good amount of workload in those years, but I feel like he's being relied on way too heavily here. And because of that, he's working a lot. And that's going to cause negative issues such as, giving up runs. If he's pitching 2 innings every night, he's going to get tired and give up runs.
Yeah.
You've seen the same with Robert Gsellman. I mean, when he gets overworked, he gives up a lot of runs. Those 2 relievers who are supposed to be big in the bullpen right now are being overworked, overused, and you're seeing the effect of that on them both. And just the point about the rest of the bullpen, you have an issue when you're looking for big time outs from Chris Flexen, Brooks Pounders, even I don't want to be a jerk because he had a very good debut. Chris Mazza too. I mean, he's a 29-year-old guy who's been in the minors a long time. When you're relying on those guys, it's it's very disconcerting.
Yeah. It's what do you well first we got a couple comments here from Bobby Bo, so who knows, maybe Bonilla's watching us. He's got nothing but downtime. He's like, bring back Wally Backman. I mean, I've been saying that for years. I know it's a pipe dream. I know it's never ever going to happen. But he's like, bring back Wally Backman, sure. Outside the box, bring back Wally Backman. I'm with you, and I know a lot of people aren't. As far as the political stuff, we're not really. This is not a political show, so we're going to leave it at that. Bobby Bo, we do appreciate you watching. But yeah, how do you feel? Like, what do you think? What are your thoughts on Callaway right now, John?
Oh, he's not good, and he's I feel like he's lost the team. He keeps saying that he hasn't, and a lot of players have said that he hasn't, but I feel like he has, and he's just not a good manager. He just consistently makes mistakes. You saw it last year when he was a rookie manager. He made a couple of really big mistakes when it came to the bullpen and the lineup. That one time in Cincinnati, we all that became very infamous. I don't know. I just don't think he's cut out for it, especially in New York. And it seems at this point that a lot of managers are like this in baseball, but the Wilpons are using him almost as a puppet. He doesn't. I don't even think he makes a lot of these decisions. You even heard that Brody got in touch with him during the game to make him or demand that he takes out DeGrom. I mean, when that type of stuff is happening, you're not even allowing the guy to manage. So I feel for Mickey in some ways, but I also feel like he's not cut out for the job.
Yeah, I completely agree. Because we touched on that last week, and I was kind of like, we were both like, at the end of the day, if whoever's calling those shots, be it Mickey, be it Brody, it's a mess regardless. Because I still hold true to thinking that having a former player agent be your general manager is a joke. And if indeed, and it looks like he did call down and make him take DeGrom out of the game, a former client. What a surprise. Protecting his client's interests. Because with this GM thing doesn't work out, he's going to go back to his agency. It's
absolutely.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
It's funny because the Wilpons also have Brody, for lack of a better term, by the balls, because Brody, he's got a 4-year contract with the Mets. He's a former player agent, and he has no background or credibility as a GM in the past. So after this is one and done. This is after this job, he's not getting another general managing job. He's going right back to his agency. So he really depends on the Wilpons to keep him right now. So he'll do whatever they say. It was completely different with Sandy, because Sandy was hired by the MLB. So he was more of like, all right, Wilpons, if this doesn't work out with me, I mean, what the MLB is going to do something, because they're taking me and putting me into this role so that I could babysit you guys, because you can't
that's very true.
run this team. And he ran the team like a small market. And I have my own issues with Sandy, but the good thing about Sandy was that he was able to try to keep the Mets' usual theatrics down. I mean, you've seen it full just go crazy this year with all these different signs of ineptitude from the owners and from the general manager and from the manager, and lack of communication and all that stuff. This was less noticeable when Sandy was around, because he was able to take a reign of that and try to manage that and control that, because that's the biggest issue with the Wilpons. They don't know how to run a team, and they're just making stupid decisions that look really, really bad.
Yeah, I completely agree. I get down on Sandy a lot, and I often do forget the point you made that, he was installed there by MLB.
Yeah.
And that's very true, because it was, around the whole Madoff thing and this, that, and the other thing. And he was there to play money ball and manage the Wilpons before even general managing the team in a way. And
Yeah, I mean, now you see, and now you're seeing Mets fan pages. They're saying, "Let's have a protest outside of Citi Field." Is it actually going to be effective? Is this going to get the attention of the MLB? Like, unfortunately, no.
No.
And
If Madoff didn't, and because while they were, exonerated and whatnot, there's still a lot of shady things that happened then.
Yeah.
Them firing financial advisor after financial advisors, all which said they pointed things out to them about their consistent returns. And then it also goes into Bobby Bonilla Day, which we'll get into later, and whatnot. Even one of our regulars, Loki G, commented, he's like, I don't know what it is, but I barely watch anymore. I mean, I used to watch when they lost before, but something about now, it's like the magic is gone. I'm just jaded by how the team is managed post Terry Collins. And you're preaching to the choir, brother. Like, I mean, Loki, you're 100. I get you. Like, it's hard. It's hard to watch what's happening. And it does feel like what you were saying, John, that it's a different level of ineptitude. And I don't know. What do you think? What steps would you take, John, if you had the influence to take steps and change the organization?
It's tough to say, but a lot of people on I follow people on Twitter for the Mets and stuff, and there's this one guy who's pretty well renowned on there, and he keeps saying the only thing that's going to get the Mets to to make better decisions or for the MLB to take notice is if the fans, they come together and they voice their opinions. And we're in New York, so they have a lot of fans. So, it would be possible. It would take a lot of work and a lot of, gathering people. And, people have their lives, they're busy. So it's tough to make a movement like this, but it's going to take some sort of movement to get notice. And, it's going to be tough to do that without funding the Mets by paying for tickets or something like that. But it's something that a lot of people are going to have to think about, and a lot of people are going to have to mobilize it on. And hopefully somebody would be able to spar that movement if they have the influence to do so. And, I'd have, because, I feel like, I really miss Mets playoff baseball.
Yeah. I mean, we got a glimpse of that in 2015.
We get that fix every 9 years.
True. But, maybe you're right. Maybe we do need some sort of like the fans coming together. I mean, now on social media, it's so easy to gather influence.
Yeah,
you have some of the largest Mets fan pages, including yours, where it's like, it's calling. It's like, do we as fans either don't show up to games anymore? We stop buying tickets.
You know what the best thing would probably be? We all get together, people who are going to go to that game today, and we just stop and we stand outside the stadium.
Yeah, they should. Honestly,
we stand and we don't protest. We just say we're not going to pay to watch this team, but we want to be at Citi Field. Like would that send the message, or am I just being crazy?
But do you think it would have sent more of a message if we did it this weekend when they were honoring the '69 Mets, or would that have been more disrespectful? Because
I think it would have been more disrespectful.
I agree with you, John.
The best time to do it would have been the Subway Series coming up now, because you've got the whole New York there. And look, New York Yankee fans know the situation with the Mets. They know that us as fans, they like to make fun of us, but they know that we're being starved because our ownership, and they continue to step on their own feet and make bad decisions that are leading to a lackluster performance on the field. So, when you have New York there, all the New York fans, the New York media is all there. That would be the best time to make a move.
Yeah.
Maybe we should protest. I'm thinking some sort of just get the media's attention.
Yeah, I mean, the Subway Series is last minute now because of it, but I know someone's trying to do it. They're not sure if they're going to go through with it, but I do feel – what was that, John?
One of the fan pages. It
was the NYM_news.
NYM News, and he was getting something together, but then he backtracked on it a bit.
Yeah.
I was surprised, but maybe he must have gotten some – he must have heard that maybe I don't know, maybe something could have gone wrong or something. But I don't see anything wrong with the peaceful
Yeah.
protest. I mean, a lot
I
of
mean,
people
baseball
do it
fans
for-
are rowdy to begin with, so it's
True.
like,
Yeah.
Like you should see them in the stands. They're cursing and yelling. So
yeah. I mean, this weekend there was the fire Mickey chants.
yeah,
to
right
the
at the end of
entire
the
series.
game.
And the Wilpon, sell the team Wilpon chant
Yep.
was going too. Look, if people are going in and chanting that, I mean, that's going to get heard, especially on, it was especially heard on SNY and everything. I think I don't know if Gary, Keith, and Ron took note of it, but I feel like they did. I can't remember exactly, but if that's getting on, then people are going to hear about that. People are going to understand our pain. I don't know. I mean, us Mets fans, we really are passionate and we love this team and we root for this team and we want to see them be successful. So when we see something blocking them from being successful, of course we're going to call that out and try to fix that. We're New Yorkers. We don't just sit there like I don't know, Pittsburgh fans or something like that, Pirate fans, and take it. We don't. We make our voices heard and we push to have excellence on the field because that's what we deserve. Because that's what we push for.
Yes, I agree 100%. Especially the weekend of the 1969 team, like they started out in last place, but they pulled the excellence together and they were given the tools to do that. And so I mean, as fans, we're able to identify where the problem lies, and it lies at the top. It is the Wilpons, and then it trickles down from there. And I mean, it will take a community of Met fans who have a voice, who, people who have been in the game for a little while, like you have, John, have a following. And then we're trying to gain that a similar following and get in the game and whatnot. Then the other pages and whatnot, maybe that's what it takes. It takes, a grassroots movement to just make our voices heard. I mean, hell, the 7-Line Army, their most popular shirt before they were employed by the Mets was "Sell the Team." I mean, think about that.
And now with the 7-Line Army, it's sad because they won't use that movement to push against the Wilpons or Brody. Because I think they're connected in some way with the Mets now. That doing that would really undermine what they try to do. That's what I've heard.
They're employed now. They're not going against anybody.
Yeah, they're employed by the Mets.
The 7-Line. I mean, they have the stand there, and they have options on their website to buy tickets in the Big Apple section.
Okay. So they're completely they're like Brody right now.
Yeah.
Completely by the balls.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, the Wilpons do seem to have a lot of
put
people
that on
by
a
the
shirt.
balls. Yeah, guy. Fred's got me by the ball.
Yeah.
A big shout out to my good friend JR, who's a true fan, watching from the side of the road. Thank you, JR. Thank you so much. So, I mean, John, tell us a little, I'm getting kind of off the topic of the Wilpons for the moment. Tell us about your page, how you got started, how you got the following you have, and where your Mets passions started.
So I started in about it was late 2014. I started during the off season, and at the time I was young. I was actually just looking back at some of my most earliest posts, and I was like, my captions were like so unprofessional and stuff. It was the weirdest thing. just to see how much I've grown over the years. It's really awesome. It's interesting. I started watching baseball late. I didn't start getting into it until I was about 9 or 10. And my dad's a big Mets fan. And, we started going to the games together. I started watching the games. Loved David Wright.
Same here. That's when I started getting into it.
Jose Reyes. I mean, it was just, 2010 to 2014. We didn't win anything. But, it was fun to watch. They had that core group of guys, kind of like how the Mets have it right now. Core group of young players or really accomplished players who are really fun to watch. And they had, some pitchers like Johan Santana who could really pitch a good game. And, there are a lot of different things that have really drawn me to the Mets over the years. And, I remember when I was younger, it didn't matter if they won or lose. I was still watching every friggin' game. It's different now because, I've got a lot more going on and stuff. So I try to watch whenever I can, but sometimes it's so frustrating that I'm just like, let me go for a run or something. But, you know, the magic of 2015 for me really just set me in stone as just loving this team because, there was nothing better than October baseball, watching the games. I couldn't zone out of it. I couldn't. I loved every minute of it, and I really miss it. And I really want the Mets to do well because I love this team.
Yeah, same here. I mean, the 2015. My introduction to the Mets was a lot earlier than you young bucks, but
Yeah.
like there's a reason the black jerseys behind Victor and the pinstripes, the ribbing, the tubing, is behind me because that was my introduction. Was like the '88 team was the first one I really paid attention to. But like 2015, I told my friend, like, because she was a new Mets fan, and I was like, remember this year because it doesn't happen that often, and it's the kind of season you're going to tell your grandchildren about.
I mean, that's why I went to the World Series. That's why I bought tickets to the World Series because I was like, maybe is this the only time I'm ever going to see the Mets play in a World Series in my lifetime? And as that 2015, as you mentioned, was magical. And could that return sooner rather than later to New York for our team?
I mean, the way things are going, the way the Wilpons operate the team or lack thereof, I'm inclined to say no. Unfortunately, I mean, right now the trade rumors are going crazy with the idea of trading Thor, possibly before the break or right after the break. That's a scary prospect because that's literally just throwing your hands up in the air. I mean, and here we are. John, you have your Instagram page. Here we are on YouTube, and we're all here for the same reason. We love this team. We want to communicate with other fans who love this team. And unfortunately, because of the team that we chose or that chose us, commiserate with other fans and try to figure out what we can do as fans, and I don't know, John, I think you have an idea there about, the grassroots and trying to make our voices heard.
I could shed a little bit of a positivity though, on this because the one thing that keeps me hopeful about Mets playoffs in the near future, whether that be 2020 or 2021, one of those years, we have a really good young core of players here, and it shouldn't be too difficult, except for of course a team run by the Wilpons, to build around this young core. That gives me hope because we have young players on this team who could line up with any group of young.
Oh, John, you still there?
A little there you are, John. Sorry, you cut out for a little while.
Oh, did
yeah, it's all good. Sorry. Yeah, last we heard was you saying that we have a group of kids who can match up against other teams. That's where we lost you.
Okay. So yeah, that's basically what I was finishing on. We got this young core of players who are really talented, can go against anyone else, and we're a bullpen away and a good defensive team away from being a very, very good team in baseball. And it's just sad because our bullpen is so abhorrent and our defense is so bad that those things are really killing us right now in every game because you could see it. We're out in front in every game. So it's just going to take a couple pieces to build around this young core. A young, inexpensive core, mind you. I mean, the Mets rotation, I think they're making $35 million in all, that Mets rotation. That's a good rotation, even though it's not living up to the expectations we had hoped for. For that sort of money, they're really putting it together. Mm-hmm. We've got the Mets offense line, which is a little bit above average, and they're doing a really good job because we've seen some, even in our good years in 2015 and 16, we've seen some pretty bad offensive Met teams.
That's true.
So it's nice to see that they've shown some life and they're getting early leads and everything. The problem is, of course, the defense and the bullpen, and that bullpen is just, I think it's been worse than the April Washington Nationals bullpen.
Huh.
That's how bad it's been. It's really, really awful. I remember I was laughing at the Washington Nationals bullpen.
And now,
I never
No, yeah, they're probably
expected
laughing at
this
us.
to happen.
yeah.
It
I mean,
really-
two-part. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, I mean, two-part question. So, yes, it's the pen and it's the defense.
Yeah.
So let's say, do you think that first part of the question, would the defense be less glaringly offensive, so to speak, less glaringly bad if the pen was holding it together? And if indeed it would be still an issue, who would you be willing to part with to try to shore up that defense and bring the team to the promised land the way you would have to before the trade deadline? Like Victor,
Well,
That's a good
yeah. So, I mean, I just wanted to touch on a point before. Just like there's this tweet that I saw from Rich Mackland. It said the worst bullpens in Mets franchise history. So you go back to 2017, 4.82 ERA. 2018 is a 4.96 ERA. Then in 1962, we had a 5.66 ERA. And
Oh,
guess
man.
what? 2019, I mean, to be correct now, it is the worst ERA that we ever had at a bullpen.
wonderful.
So that's the thing that has to be addressed. You
Yeah.
realize we've blown over 20 saves as a bullpen. And
You
say we
take-
won 10 of those games.
Yeah.
Say somehow, like you
We
mentioned,
could have
completely different
like you mentioned, John, we had the leads in almost every one of these games. I mean, even if you're looking to Saturday's game, we had a 4-3 lead.
Mhm.
And then what happens? We, Lugo gives up back-to-back homers.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I'm throwing my hands up in the air. So is that what, the Mets GM, is that what
Well,
all of their
sadly, that's
coaching
what
is doing?
that's what they've done. I think
They're
that's
just
what they've
like,
done.
maybe next game they'll pitch better.
Yeah, next year. They were raised as Brooklyn Dodger fans, and what was their
Yeah.
motto? Maybe next year.
Yeah.
I mean, John. So, I mean, going back to my question, do you think the defense would be as abhorrent if the bullpen wasn't so bad?
So, with the defense, the biggest issue I think with the defense, that might definitely contribute to it because the bullpen's getting hit really hard. But also, the issue with the Mets is that they keep playing players out of position, which is hurting them. Also, Ahmed Rosario's having a historically bad season at shortstop, which was very surprising to me because the last 2 years, and especially when he was coming up as well, he was known for his glove. So that's been a big issue. Playing J.D. Davis and Dom Smith in left field, although hasn't been awful, that's been a bit of an issue. Michael Conforto isn't a regular center fielder, so playing him in center field is a bit of an issue. All these things are contributing. Even Robinson Cano is having a really bad defensive season. So, it just seems like at almost every position we have defensive woes, and that we could overcome that if we had the bullpen, the starting rotation, and the offense all clicking. Sadly, that bullpen is really undermining the Mets from being successful. As you said, 20 games blown by that bullpen. If we won 10 of those, as you said, we would be in the hunt right now for the playoffs.
Yeah, agreed. So, yeah, I mean, I guess we kind of lamented over the issues of the pen, the defense, the Wilpons, and praise the All-Stars pretty through and through. Yeah.
So, I mean, John, you're more than welcome to join us, but we're just going to jump into some other topics and segments that we have for the show. So, I mean, we're going to talk first about the 69 series and those blunders that the Mets have done.
Oh, God.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Oh,
give us
God,
your
yes.
take on those. We'll definitely love to hear
Well, I
a
mean-
third voice in this.
Well, yeah, let me go into it real quick about the guys that well, long story short, the Mets listed during the 69 tribute videos, the in memoriam videos, they listed Jim Gosger, 76 years old, and Jesse Hudson, 7 years old. They listed them as dead. Both of them are alive. Gosger had a fairly decent sense of humor about it. I was like, quote, wow, look at me. I made the big board. Thank you,
Yeah.
New York Mets, for bringing me back. They apologized, quote unquote, to him, but he did say, if they call, I will not answer the phone.
Yeah.
And there's no word on whether or not they reached out to Gosger. I'm a fan. These guys weren't big 69 Mets. Gosger was acquired from the Seattle Pilots in July and then traded to the Giants in December, and Hudson pitched one game. okay, fine, they didn't invite them, but I mean, if Gosger was there, like they should invite him, especially
But you
Gosger.
could
Maybe not
Google
Hudson.
that information.
Huh?
You can Google that information.
It's
That's all they have to do. All they have to do is Google the name.
Yeah.
Dead or alive. Put it on the thing. It's just, who else but the Mets would do this?
only the It's such
Yeah.
a Mets thing to do.
Well, that's the thing. Well, I mean, this is part of our section of what the actual fuck. So
Yeah.
I think it was very fitting. As
And then I'm gonna show a picture right here because they also did the parade. They reenacted the '69 championship parade, and because I feel like that, just like with the Seaver Way naming ceremony, they didn't do a particularly great job of getting it out there to people. So this is what it looked like.
wrong.
What's up
Yeah,
there?
there we go.
That's what it looked like, and it's like, my dude,
my
like,
God.
come on.
It's like 5 people there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and while it was really cool to see, Kuzmin and Swoboda and Cleon Jones and Bud Harrelson, God bless him, because he can't speak anymore, but like he was there and whatnot. It's great to see them all. And they deserve so much. And the ceremony itself was pretty touching. I know like Howie Rose was lamenting how beautiful and touching it was, and of course it especially speaks to the older generation, not as much us, but it's like that they if there's a will, Pawn,
Yeah.
there's a way to fuck it up. I don't know.
Absolutely.
I mean, what do you think about like, do you have any thoughts on the '69 Mets? Do you have any attachment to them? Was that something maybe your father passed along to you?
Well, my dad was he remembers it a little bit. He remembers the '86 World Series a little bit better.
Yeah.
He remembers 69, and look, that team was a scrappy team. Kind of like the you could compare them to the 2015 Royals.
Oh,
Yeah.
the Royals.
And the reason
They
why,
were very
because
scrappy. I agree with
they
you.
were
John,
they
on
were a
that.
scrappy team that had very good defense. They just hit and hit and hit. They had a couple good. They had the only difference I'd say is that they had a terrific starting rotation, which the Royals didn't. But they were relentless hitters, and they just kept hitting to the gap, hitting singles, clutch hitting. It was just relentless, and they really overcame some very good teams with the Orioles and I think the Braves. Both of them had a lot of star power on that team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's a really, I didn't expect that comparison, but that's a really great comparison. So now we have the upcoming series. The Mets are off tonight, and tomorrow and Wednesday the Skankies are in town. I mean, they're always in town, but they're at Citi Field, and we got Paxton versus Wheeler.
Yeah.
And then TBD versus Jason. So I mean, it's kind of hard to know. I mean, where do you think Paxton? I believe was the pitcher that we beat for when we split the series at Yankee Stadium, which I was at that game. And I mean, but versus Wheeler, who do you have in that game, John?
It's tough to say. I feel like the Yankees going to win just because at this point in the season, I'm just so down on everything. But I don't know. The Mets could get to Paxton again, the way they did the last time. The Mets have done pretty good against lefties this year compared to last year, especially. They have a good lineup when they go against lefties, so it'll be an uphill battle for Paxton, I think. And I think Wheeler, who got it, had a very good start last time out. He could build on that, and I'd love to see him build on it because I think he. His numbers this year don't show the whole story. He's been better than his numbers have shown. And if he could just continue to build on that, I think that would be a great thing, especially for his trade value.
Yeah.
I hope so. I mean, Victor, who do you have in the first game?
I got my Mets, man.
I got the Yankees.
No doubt.
I got the Yankees.
You know what? I'm gonna go with a bold prediction here. Say the Yankees are jet lagged from their London series. We're gonna win these 2 games.
Oh God.
Yeah. You know what? You can go with your 0-2 and we'll split the series, but
I mean,
I'm gonna back the
the
Mets.
difference. I mean, we both thought that they were going to take the series this weekend, and we were both wrong.
yeah.
But
I don't know.
What do you think? 2-0, 0-2, or 1-1? What do you got?
I'm gonna go 1-1 because Yeah, I just think they're going to take one of the games, and maybe they'll have a lead in another game, and then probably
Lost you again.
come in and give up 10 runs.
There we
Oh,
go.
But,
wait. John, you,
oh, you lost me.
there you are. You're back.
Yeah.
I said 1-1. I think they'll probably get a win in one, but I think the bullpen will blow the lead probably in the other one. I said maybe every day Bob Giselman will come in and give up 10 runs or something like that.
Yeah.
Or Diaz,
You
who
know.
knows? Loki G and JR. I know JR, you're a Yankees fan and you're watching. Who do you have in the series? And of course, she can't name more than like one Yankees player. So she's like,
so
I can name it from like 1996. No, it doesn't count.
comment below
Right?
in our
Yeah,
section
comment.
just to see what's going on.
And
And
then,
then we have the Phillies series. So we'll have the Grom going on July 5th. Still, the Phillies haven't announced any of their starters. And then June 6th, we'll have Steven Matz. And then on the 7th will be Noah Syndergaard.
which Thor did. I mean, he wasn't stellar yesterday, but first game off the IL.
Yeah, I was
I'm
actually
fine
happy
what
with
he did. Do you think DeGrom will be seen at the All-Star game, given that he's going to have, what is that? That's Friday. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday. He's going to have 3 days rest.
No, I don't think so.
So we don't see him at all. John, what do you think?
Wait, who was that again?
DeGrom, because he's going to be pitching on Friday, and then the All-Star game's on Tuesday. Do you
So-
think we see him in the All-Star game?
I don't know. You might see him, maybe for an inning, like he's done in the past. The thing I want to actually say, they're to be decided with the second pitcher for the Yankees. I heard from reports on Twitter that because the Wilpons take the Yankees series as if it's like the World Series, it's that important to them to win. They're actually going to move Vargas. They're thinking about moving Vargas, who was supposed to start that second game, and move him all the way back after the All-Star break, I think, just so they can pitch. Not the All-Star break, I'm sorry. Move him to the next series just so they could pitch DeGrom against the Yankees.
Yeah.
And, it's just so Wilpons. I mean, they don't give a shit about if the Mets are winning. But they do give a shit about the Yankee series. Like, come on.
I mean, I think they want to sell tickets.
I mean, I will say, yes, they want to sell tickets
because DeGrom is going to be pitching.
I will say that though DeGrom last pitched, by pitching on the scheduled day right now, which is the 5th, he has quite the amount of days off since then.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
He's rested. He's a 7-day rest at that point. So, I mean, I would be fine with them moving them only because then we got a chance to see him. He'd be on regular rest, and then he'd be on regular rest for the All-Star game.
And then following the All-Star game.
He'd be on regular rest. So normally I would agree, but like this is such a Wilpons thing to do. Just be like, oh, I only care about the Yankees. I'm a Brooklyn Dodgers fan. I'm still butthurt from all the years that they lost. But I mean, for this, I feel like, all right, he's above regular rest at this point. So I would put him in the Yankee series, and then we have a chance for the nation to see what he can do in Cleveland on Tuesday. But we shall see. I mean, how great would the story be? Alonso wins the home run derby, and DeGrom goes in there like DeGrom does at the All-Star game, and he's lights fucking out. How beautiful would that be?
And he picks up the win.
And that changes the narrative. That changes the narrative for us.
Guys.
What's that?
That's our World Series this year, guys.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh man! So now we got the check is behind us for Bobby Bonilla Day. So we wanted to get into actually talking about Bobby Bonilla Day and not just shitting on it as everyone does, and kind of going into the finer aspects of why the deal happened, how it happened, and what actually resulted from that deal. How much are you aware of the intricacies of the Bobby Bonilla deal, John?
So, I like to shield myself from that so that I'm not pained. But I do know I do know something about it. It was interesting. There's this the editor of Mesmerized, Michael Meyer. He has this whole thread that he did today, and it showed all the deferred payments made by every team to players. And there are some pretty big ones, like the Atlanta Braves are still paying what was it? Something Suitor. the guy was something. His last name was Suter. I forgot his first name.
Yeah.
But he only they originally gave him a 4-year contract. He only pitched 2 of the years, I think, because of age or ineffectiveness or something. But on that contract, they're still paying this guy. This is 1984, I think, was the last year he played for them, and they're still paying for him. The thing with the Mets, though, it's just,
I mean, I think the Mets they're able to make a joke about it themselves at this point.
Yeah,
I mean, the deferred deal started in '85 with Strawberries.
Yeah, we're still paying Strawberry.
Yeah.
To 2033, from 2004 to 2033, which is 1.64 million, and no one talks about that. Why? Because
I think Strawberry is probably more beloved by fans.
Exactly.
Versus Bobby Bonilla.
Oh, yeah.
We just watched the video right before this, and they were talking about how when he was first with the Mets, and no one liked him towards the end.
Yeah.
And we pretty much booed him out. He was Bobby Bonilla.
And then you have other teams like, Bernard Gelke is still being paid by the Diamondbacks, and he retired in 2001, and he signed a 4-year contract. Oh, actually, yeah, the Diamondbacks will be paying. And. They're paying him for us, actually. Yeah. So it's kind of funny the Diamondbacks are paying Bernard for us. I mean, really, what it comes down to is they thought the money would be there. Yeah. They had to pay out $3 million up front, which they wanted to do other things with it, and the team was a mess back then. And then they thought the money would be there. Why? Bernie Madoff. They thought that the money would be there because they had steady returns. So it seemed like a good investment for them because it's something that's been done in baseball for a long time, and it wasn't anything unique.
Well, Bobby Bonilla's camp was asking for 10% in the contract.
Whereas the Mets 5.
They were offering like 6. They were offering 6. So they met in the middle at 8%. So it's pretty much 8% growing on this $5.9 million. Mm-hmm. And with Madoff, they're like, with the money that we're investing, they thought it was practically free.
Yeah,
they were saying like, with Bernie Madoff, with money that we invest with him, we're getting 15 to 20% back.
Exactly.
So this hit that we're taking with Bobby Bonilla, you know what? We'll get that money back. But then when the whole Ponzi scheme that happened with Bernie Madoff, it kind of bit us right in the ass.
Yeah, it bit us in the ass. I mean, but I'm more forgiving. I mean, I make jokes about it and whatnot because it's become a Mets meme in itself. But what really it comes down to is that they made a decision that they thought, and whether or not they knew Bernie Madoff was dirty or not, we'll never truly know. They thought the money would be there. It wasn't. Shit happens. It did result in Mike Hampton coming to the Mets. And then when Mike Hampton left, we got a draft pick.
Yeah.
And who was that draft pick?
David Wright.
David Wright. So, yes, at the end of the day, you Mets fans out there who always have to hear from Yankee fans and everybody else, your team's so stupid. And, yes, they are. And, yes, the Wilpons suck. And, yes, it's only an issue because it's the Wilpons, because everything they seem to do is wrong. And every decision that they make seems to backfire on the team and makes them look stupid. At the end of the day, no Bobby Bonilla day, no David Wright.
Yeah.
And I know what I would do. If I knew David Wright was the end result, I would do it all over again. What about you, Victor?
Oh, I absolutely agree. I mean, David Wright was my favorite player.
Exactly.
So I could be very biased here by saying that I would go through with the deal as well.
And John, would you still do it knowing David Wright was the end result?
Yeah, look, they could laugh at us now, but getting to watch David Wright, I don't give a shit,
Exactly.
Honestly, this doesn't impact me at all, the Bobby Bonilla thing. Let the Wilpons keep spending them. I got to see David Wright, who is my favorite player of all time. Mm-hmm. So I'm content with the Bonilla deal in that case.
Yeah, well, exactly. Bonilla is making more money than Pete Alonso and Jeff McNeil.
Yeah,
and the starting rotation made in 2015 when we got to the World Series. I mean, it's what it is, but that's what happens when you're an older player. Their Strawberry's still making almost the same amount of money as Bobby Bonilla every year, and we don't hear about Strawberry Day. So it's like it's what it is. It's just something people use because so many other things on the team are a friggin' embarrassment. And speaking of embarrassments, it's time to move on to the segment. And John, you can feel free to participate in this. It's Metsery, Mets Mr. History Misery. So in this segment, they've started this last week. Victor picks from a list of horrible things that happened in Mets history. Hopefully, I know what the hell he's referring to. And then he gets my take on it, and then he brings his take in it. So Victor, spin that wheel and tell us what you got.
All right. So I got to give a quick shout out to Barstool Sports for putting out this segment.
Barstool.
And let's see what I should. What could be picked here? I want John to participate in this, so I'm going to pick something a little bit more recent. All right, you know what? Let's talk about Mr. Met flipping off a fan. How about that?
John, you start with that one. Yeah. You start with that one.
Oh, my God. I remember that, and, I think I've used that as, like, a gift to my sister or something a bunch of times. I love that thing. It's just so incredible. I mean... Well, I don't even know. I want to know the backstory to that. Like, what did these people do to get that guy to flip them off in a Mr. Mets costume during the game?
Well, honestly. Let's put a quick image right now.
Yeah, I'm putting the image up, and let's see. Let's show everybody what we're talking about. Sorry, give me 2 seconds. There.
Is it on? You guys, hold on. We got to switch from John to Mr. Met.
Oh, it's probably because they're using
there we go.
Drinking Coca-Cola.
There we go.
Pepsi. That's probably it.
Yeah.
So there's Mr. Met flipping off fans. So long story short, some fans were heckling Mr. Met as he was going into the tunnel, and he turned around and just gave him his middle finger. But here's my thing.
But the Mets were. I think they were getting their asses kicked by the Brewers too. We ended up losing that game 7-1.
But here's my thing. Mr. Met only has 4 fingers, so he doesn't technically have a middle finger. He technically doesn't have a middle finger, so I mean, I don't know.
He's almost pointing at them.
What's that?
He's almost pointing at them, if anything.
Yeah. Right? He was pointing to the sky, like, "No, God,
he's
God needs to help us. God needs to help us because
God help us, Mets fans."
I mean,
God.
My whole thing is that of Mr. Met is kind of one of the mascots that has the least amount of balls in general, in the sense of, yes, his head's a giant ball, but he's very family friendly. He's very family oriented. Yeah. He's a happy-go-lucky guy. He's not a little shit like the Philly fanatic. God bless him. I love him. Yeah. He's not obnoxious like I mean, he's definitely no Gritty, but I mean, I guess Philadelphia's just got a monopoly on like sad shit, but he's kind of one of the safer, nicer.
Well, I think he's
mascots.
Probably the most beloved mascot in the major league.
They say that, but honest to God, I think it's the Philly fanatic.
Yeah,
I think it's the Philly
probably
fanatic.
Interacts.
I mean, at least it's not as bad. And I'm gonna bring John. You talk about this for a second because I got to bring up a picture of another long since forgotten mascot.
Sure.
Which one are you talking about?
Go on, John. You talk about this for a second, John.
All right.
Oh, you still there, John? Hold on.
Yeah. What do you want me to talk about?
Well, I don't know. I mean, what do you, I mean, I guess you already. I mean, Victor, you tell us about what you think about the Mr. Met flipping people off.
Oh, it's fucking hilarious. I love, like, when that first came out, I thought someone photoshopped it originally, and we looked into it, and then that's where it was real. I mean, the guy ended up getting fired, but that was 2017 when it happened. So we still had Harvey on the team, and then he was going through his drama. I think there's this article that I have pulled up from the Daily News is that Harvey was suspended for 3 days violating team rules. And then sources later told Daily News that Harvey was heartbroken over his breakup with Brazilian superstar Adriana Lima. So pretty much for the Mets, it really never ended. So that was just kind of like, the fire that's happening now with our team.
Kind of.
But it's all these, like, it's absolutely ridiculous.
It is absolutely ridiculous. All right, so but John, you probably don't know about this mascot. Victor, I know you don't know about this mascot, but I'm going to bring up the greatest mascot in Major League Baseball history. Dandy.
The Yankee?
Oh, my God.
Dandy, the Yankee mascot. He was a hobo. You tell me that's not a hobo? I mean, look at it. I mean, here's the thing. That's 70s New York, though. That's the hairstyle that Jason Vargas has now. He has Thurman Munson's mustache, Jason's hairstyle, and then he's got that like to the cap side kind of thing. Like he's like, what's his face that wears the cap to the side? Chapman or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's just like, hey, Mac, where you
Fernando
going? Can you
Rodney.
get a dirty water, dog? What are you doing? So
My
I think he's the
God.
most beloved mascot in history.
Oh,
But I
Yeah,
bet
he's a mess.
They don't bring him back. He honestly looks a little traumatizing.
he looks like he's worse than Elmo in Times Square.
Yeah.
But
Oh
I mean, as far as the Mr. Met, my take on it, I don't think it was that miserable. I think it's hilarious. And you know, I remember reading an article about how whoever was the mystery person within the costume was no longer employed by the team. So my
Yeah.
hope is just that another good person was able to step up and become the full-time Mr. Met. I hope, or maybe they have several people. I don't know, but hopefully people who are a little bit more passionate about the team and friendly and family oriented were able to step up and get that job. But all right, and so now for this is a fun segment for all of us. Will it so? Which is the segment where that's my nerd thing.
Yeah.
Captain Picard, make it so. Will it so? If you were the Wilpons, here's a question: how would you handle it if you were Fred or Jeff, but like with a brain in your head?
Yeah.
So the question is, with the 69 festivities now in the video vaults, would you make it available to rewatch or purchase? If so, what other events would you open the vaults for? And this is a question I came up with because I was listening to the game and Harry Rose was saying how they're sure they're going to make it available. And I was thinking, like, so many things in Mets history we can't find. We can't find the closing of Shea Stadium online. We see like snippets of people recording on their cell phones, but we can't get it. It's hard to find the documentary about Shea Stadium being the rock and roll cathedral back in the day. It's hard to and Shea Goodbye, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
We can't find those there. And great games, they don't release them. We're lucky we get a couple of abbreviated games as far as like what's
the Mets Fast Forward or the Mets Classics.
Mets Classics, but like we don't get those things. So I mean, I really and it baffles my mind because the Wilpons can only make money off of this. Dumbasses like us would buy this.
Yeah.
Would absolutely buy this. So I don't know. Of all the events, aside from the 69 stuff this weekend, of all the events in your lifetime for the Mets that you can't find, what, Victor, would you release to the public if you were Fred or Jeff?
I would. I mean, I'm not too sure. I might be wrong on this if it's online or not, but I think that 2006 that playoff run that we had. I remember Andy Chavez's catch ingrained in my mind, but I think there should be something that goes further into the history of
a documentary about it.
Yeah, documentary about what could have happened,
and not just a yearbook, because the yearbook's a little like
it's
kind of breezes over it.
Breezes over it, but something that goes in depth about what a playoff team, or I guess a playoff team that nearly made the World Series.
Yeah, I like that.
And then I know it's a bit of like, hey, we were like the third place team arguably, or the second place team in the NL, but I think that would be something nice.
But it's still a hell of a year. It's still a storied year. So yeah, I agree with you.
Or something 100%. I don't know, talk about,
or even a compilation, David Wright's last game and highlights of his career and showing all the interviews he had in the end and the video that they played from on the field, something like that. Or even just Shea Goodbye. Bring it, show it. John, what would you like to see released to the public? If you were Fred or Jeff, what would you send out there?
It's weird because I was just thinking, and there are people who edit and make their own videos that do a better job of commemorating Mets moments than the Mets do. And so, they really need to do a better job in general, I think, commemorating past Mets and past Mets moments. And they need to do it in the future as well with future Mets moments because, they just don't do a good job at,
honoring their history,
honoring their history and celebrating the players that have done so much for this team. It reminds me, I remember, weren't they auctioning Mike Piazza's 9/11 jersey or something like that? Of that, something like that.
Yeah.
They were selling away instead of keeping it in like Citi Field in like for all the fans to see. They were like selling it or something.
Yeah. Well, I do think the funds for that one went to charity, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm not totally down them, but yeah, it does always seem to be about making money instead of like saying, "Hey, let's hold on to this and let it be accessible to the fans." Absolutely.
Yeah. Let people see more history of the Mets. Let people, come into Citi Field and visual a lot. You could do it, with the Yankees.
Well, you go to Yankee. Well,
we totally lost you,
hold on,
John.
he got cut off. But maybe a point that John, you there? John. But I mean, like you step into Yankee Stadium and it's a museum, pretty much, and you see they have their Hall of Famers. Hey, John. Oh, everything all right?
We keep losing you, John.
Yeah.
But we'll just let us know when you're back.
True, but I mean, it took the Mets for Tom Seaver to have pretty much difficulties with his health in order to honor a statue.
All right.
Yeah.
You know what? Imagine that statue was planned 5 years ago, and then they unveil it at the 69 like celebration. I'm sure
that should have been unveiled the day they opened Citi Field. He threw out the first pitch to Piazza, just like he threw out the last pitch at Shea to Piazza. It should have been unveiled that day. And they should have renamed the street well in advance. Just like I said last podcast, they did it within 6 months from Mariano Rivera. No excuse. John, you back?
Yeah. Sorry, my friends kept calling me. I kept declining, and they kept calling.
Oh no, that's all right. Sorry,
stupid friends.
Yeah, I mean we've been running the show for an hour now.
And now we have the last segment of the day,
our final segment, Mets memes.
So the first meme to share with all of you today is
Comedy Central. They came out with the new logo.
Yeah.
I actually really enjoyed this. I feel like they brought some color into it. They
it's beautiful.
Yeah, they went from a nice little script font.
Yeah.
I think it looks.
That's beautiful. I think. What do you think, John? Do you like the new Comedy Central logo?
So you're telling me the almost beatdown of the reporter in the clubhouse was a South Park episode?
Yes, absolutely. It was actually a roast.
Okay.
Jason was the roast master.
Yeah.
It was the roast of motherfucker. So, so the second run right here, you'll get a kick out of this.
Oh, this is we have it. It's pretty much another Simpsons. The Simpsons memes are really popular.
Simpsons memes are the best. Yeah. So it's
read it for us, Shane.
This is the worst game of my life, and Homer's like, "This is the worst game of your life so far," because he's just gonna blow it tomorrow.
We've got more to come.
Exactly. Always more to come. All right. So next meme up is.
What do you got for us, Shane? What is this? So I think it's okay to spoil Endgame at this point. With just a snippet of this.
Oh no, someone's watching who hasn't seen the end of Endgame. Oh, that's not Clint Eastwood. That's a certain captain.
But it's pretty much the New York Mets have a lead in the league game, and fans, please just win. And Mets fans go, no, I don't think I will.
I love that one.
That's good.
Man,
that's a good meme.
Oh man! All right, the next meme is we have.
Oh, this was off Reddit. So this is a nod to the Twilight Zone.
So every time the Mets bullpen comes into the game, what you're about to watch is a nightmare. Damn, I fucked that up.
Yeah,
John, you disappeared in us.
No, John, where'd you go?
Tell your friends to stop calling. You tell your friends that
they need to follow us on Standing Room Only NY on Instagram.
Sorry about that.
No worries. We're just messing with you, man. All right, the next one is.
What do you got? Drum roll. Oh. What is that? Oh, so this is a nod. This is to both New York franchises that wear orange and blue.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have New York Knicks fans wearing paper bags, and most likely probably the same ones at Citi Field.
Yeah, basically. And what's really funny is that I don't know if you follow them, but on YouTube, the channel Urinating Tree. Have you ever heard of them before? Urinating Tree?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you gotta check out them and 5 Points Vids. They make hilarious sports mean kind of videos where they rag endlessly on people, and they do it. And Urinating Tree does it in a very, very. You kind of do it better.
Yeah, I do it a little bit better. However, They just made one about the New York Mets,
Yes.
which is absolutely hilarious.
And it came out this morning.
Yeah.
It came out this morning. So just look up urinating tree, everyone, on YouTube, and it's a video from this morning about the New York Mets season and how it's just in the tank. And at the end of the video, he's like, "The New York Mets, we wish we were the Knicks."
My God.
Oh, the Knicks said they're gonna make moves this year.
Yeah, sure they are. So here's the next one. Here's Adam Sandler getting hit in the chest at a batting cage. Still less painful than watching a Mets game, which yeah,
It's very fitting.
kind of works.
Would you rather get hit by a softball, or at least, or in this case, a baseball, than watch a New York Mets game?
I'm at no. I don't want to get hurt. What about you, John? Would you rather take one in the chest or?
I don't know. That's a tough call, actually, because
Hold on. Would you? All right. So let's put this hypothetical. Say the Mets. Say tomorrow against the Yankees, they have, I don't know, an 8-5 lead. It's the 8th inning, and Seth Lugo comes in. The bases are loaded, and I don't know. Somehow the game is in your hands. You have to take a Noah Syndergaard pitch to the chest in order to save the Mets from losing the game, or you see Seth Lugo implode and we lose the game 9-8.
John, do you take the?
I gotta let them implode. I'm not getting any fastball in the chest.
How about you have a catcher's? You'll have the catcher's armor on your chest, or a bulletproof vest.
That makes it a little bit more enticing, but I don't know. That's tough. I'd probably be.
You're like, fuck.
He's like, fuck the team.
I don't know. I mean, that could kill you. That breaks your sternum. That could kill you. Loki said, "Imagine winning enough in the lottery to buy the Mets and the Wilpons. What would you do to turn it around? Not win any real Mets fans is okay with losing. What? But how do we get the magic back, Shane? I mean, that's we kind of went through that a few weeks ago, Loki. But I mean, I get enough money to buy a team, which would be at least 2.5 billion. They're gonna need at least double their investment in it. I mean, and then Major League Baseball has to approve us, which they wouldn't. I mean, they didn't even want Mark Cuban, so that says a lot. There's a lot of things, brother. I can't get into all of them right now. I think we all, John, myself, Victor, all have a million things on our laundry list of what we would do to change this team and make it better. And he said, don't, I haven't seen Endgame. Don't be like a Spider-Man trailer. Well, sorry.
Oops.
Don't worry. It was a dream sequence.
Yeah.
All right, the next one, and we have two more.
Two more Mets. Another Family Guy meme, or is this our first Family Guy? No, we had a Family.
We had another one. But
yeah,
do you know this scene?
Yeah.
Yes, because Stewie goes. I think they throw out the first pitch, and then they go, the season's
welcome
over.
to Mets baseball. Here's the first pitch, and the season is over. It's just so sadly true. And the final meme of the day is, if my computer would work.
Ooh, I have not seen this one yet.
Is one I saw off this awesome. I saw it. I don't know who created it, but Trisha, who's a very passionate Mets fan on Facebook, and a lot of the fan pages posted it. It's the New York Mets advisory chart, and it has different degrees of DEFCONs. Calm. Everything is unicorns and rainbows. No waiting line at Shake Shack. Guarded. Status quo. Extra batting and field practice. Agitated. Pitching sucks and bullpen in full collapse. Weaning out the bandwagon fans. Fire Mickey. Clubhouse in disarray. Fans protest for Wilpons to sell. And finally, Panic City. Season is on the brink of collapse. Wilpons finally call Wally Backman. Where, John, would you say you are in the season as far as the 5 different DEFCONs here?
I don't know. I think that agitated one is pretty good, but I think the Fire Mickey is the one where I am, because, I mean, I'm not even panicking anymore because I'm just so used to the Mets that I'm just at Fire Mickey. That's where I am. That's
sadly where, I mean, I guess none of us.
Everyone's at Fire.
I mean, I would love for them to call Wally, but I mean, at the same time, I know they're never going to. I wouldn't say it's panic. I would just say fucking do something. What about you, Victor?
Oh, I'm at Fire Mickey mode.
Fair.
Yeah, I mean, we've been on. I think Fire Mickey has been a topic on the show for the last 3 episodes,
if not more.
Yeah. And I think if the Mets don't do anything after this All-Star break, we will be in bring back Wally Backman.
Well, you keep hearing,
we all know that Riggleman would get the job.
Yeah.
What's that, John?
Oh, Riggleman.
Hearing the fans a lot of fans want Joe Girardi, and I'm just like, that would be awesome because he'd be great, but that's not going to happen.
No.
Sadly.
I mean, we touched on that a week ago or some, and neither one of us, Victor or I, kind of have that fever just because I have doubts because I feel like Girardi, we've seen what he does with bad ownership, bad upper management, and a troubled product on the field, like when he was in Miami, and he didn't do it. When you have ownership that gives you all the resources, gives you autonomy, and gives you a talented team, yeah, sure, he's going to win.
Which is what he had with the Yankees. But
Exactly.
like I said, unless the Mets, Joe Girardi isn't going to be the one throwing pitches off of the mound.
No.
Yeah.
So unless we get Joe Girardi and we get some arms in the bullpen, cool. Let's see.
And he's just going to fight with Brody because Brody's going to try to have control because he's a puppet.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, John, he's a puppet. And
he's got him by the balls.
Got him by the ball. All right, my friend. So it was. Tell us where everyone can find you and your page.
So I'm on Instagram at Mets Updates. You go there. I've got a lot of content. I always updating everybody on what's going on, and I always make sure to show that I'm sharing the same pain as you guys are right now. So Mets Updates Instagram. That's where you can find me. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, everybody.
Thank you for joining us, John.
Thank you for joining us, and hopefully we'll see. We got to get into some of that Mets community building and cross promotion. Us on your page, you with us again. We'd love to have you back. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, and we'll hit you up in the chat. So we'll be in touch more. You're more than welcome to join us for any future episodes. As for anyone who is following us on our page, please follow us on Instagram at Standing Room Only NY. On YouTube, we are Standing Room Only Podcast. So you'll catch the picture that is pretty much our logo now. Yeah. It's of us looking out into the
You're
field.
in a Scooter jersey. I'm in a Reyes jersey.
But aside from that, you could always feel free to reach out to us via Instagram to ask us any questions.
Twitter,
also, Twitter, Reddit as well. That's also we're going to try to grow our subreddit.
Facebook.
So on that note, thank you for watching episode 7.
Because Alonzo's in the home run derby, we promised everybody we'll go live during the derby next week.
Yes.
So we'll announce when our next episode is if we do one before then because it's kind of an abbreviated week going on. But we'll definitely be back on Monday to watch the home run derby live and watch Pete Alonso take the motherfucker, right?
See him, Rick.
Right, John? He's going to take it?
Right. Take the motherfucker.
Hell yeah, that's right. And you know what? He's going to have the balls.
He's going to balls to say.
He's going to have the balls by the balls. All right, my friends. All right, thank you again, John. And thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Victor.
And we out.
So damn unnecessary.
I know.
Bye-bye, all.
Peace.